Should Germany be doing more about the crisis in Syria? Are all Germans benefiting from the success of their economy? And are there some lessons that they could teach the rest of the world? Those are just some of the questions that you've been sending in for voters in this month's German election. And here at the beautiful German Historical Museum in Berlin, we're going to hear some answers on a special edition of World Have Your Say.
People are going to want to know. Let's just say something.
Well, all of you who have come out to see us, thank you very much indeed for doing so. For those of you watching around the world on the BBC, we appreciate your company too. Over the next hour, the subjects we talk about are defined by the questions that viewers around the world have sent in, and I know that all of our guests here are very happy to answer them. Let's begin with a video from Lebanon.
Hi, I'm Shakib. I'm a Syrian activist. I'm currently based in Beirut, Lebanon. I was disappointed by Germany's decision not to join the military action against Bashar al-Assad, though I do respect the decision. The German people have been quite generous with the Syrian people, and I hope that they will continue to be, and that Germany will explore other ways to help the Syrian opposition against their dictator. Thank you.
Shakil, thank you to you for sending that video in. Who could answer that? Maybe there's a lady there in the scarf.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Liga Ethea, and I'm a master's student. And I think, in my opinion, Germany should step up and take a more active role in foreign relations, and not talking necessarily about military intervention, but about diplomatic efforts.
Hello, my name is Mariam Lau. I work for the German paper Die Zeit. I actually felt some kind of shame when I saw that my chancellor wasn't willing at first to sign the declaration in favor of an intervention in Syria at the G20 meeting.
Why did you feel shame? Some people would say she's being cautious, and she's been cautious all of her career, and it served her well.
Well, this is no longer the time for caution. I think that there was a human rights abuse on a large scale that happened, and it needs to be punished, and the days of caution are over.
Who thinks the days of caution are over, not just for all the world's major powers, but for Germany in particular?
I think we have to be really, really careful when you talk about the word punishment. I'm an anthropologist at the Free University in Berlin, and I studied lots about on the local level, and I realized that it's not a homogenic block you're talking about when you're talking about the rebels. It's more heterogeneous groups. So we're not aware about the long-term effect if we do a military intervention, and I think we really have to consider that.
Do you say consider that? Do you think Germany's too cautious in its approach to Syria?
I think it's good for Germany to be neutral, because currently I'm based in Dubai, and I see that many Syrians are coming over, many refugees. And I believe in terms of business and marketing, but also in terms of humanitarian aid, it is much better for Germany to stay neutral. Because all the other countries like America and British are much more aggressive. So it's negative for them to be.
Is Germany being neutral, or is it just having trouble making up its mind?
I think it's much better for Germany to stay neutral, because that's clever and much more diplomatic.
Okay, well, those of you watching, by the way, you can tweet us as the program goes along here live in Berlin. The hashtag is BBC Germany. I wonder if you think Germany is being too cautious, or perhaps you think that's exactly what Germany should be. There's a gentleman at the back here. Hi.
My name is Omar. I'm a master's student. I think Germany's not the only country that's being cautious. So this whole thing has been presented as if Germany is sort of the only country that's being cautious. What we've seen, for example, with the Americans is that there's been a lot of, you could say, prevarication. So they've been threatening an attack, and then they now found a very elegant way to kind of pull themselves out of it. So I think Germany is not standing on their own, because everyone understands it's a, as been said before, it's a very complex situation. And I don't think we know who we want to intervene for. That's the feeling I get.
But is it also because Germany is different to every other country in the world? Do you think that's still true?
I mean, to a certain extent, we are, or at least we used to be very hesitant about military intervention. And I think Syria is not the best case to test a new feeling pro-military intervention, because it is a very complicated and not very clear case.
Thank you very much indeed.
Hello, I'm Ronald. I'm a journalist from Berlin. And I think we should not go to war there. There are no of our interests involved. Germany has decided to go to war twice last century. It didn't work that good out. And we shouldn't make this failure again. And for the second thing is we should not, I don't want the Islamists to win.
But here's an interesting point. You talk about German interest. Christopher in Canada has got in touch on Facebook. He says, Germans are being hypocrites. Angela Merkel reserves no energy to save the Greek economies, but she doesn't raise her voice when thousands are dying in Syria. The perception is Germany makes more of an effort in Europe than it does outside of Europe.
Of course, this is our sphere of influence, and Syria is not.
But would you like that to change?
No.
You're one of the most powerful economic countries in the world.
But economic power does not mean that our politicians go out and make wars somewhere else in the world.
Hi, I'm Soren, a graduate student here in Berlin, and I think we need to reframe this discussion. We're talking about military intervention in a foreign country, but are we ready to talk about the other side of it? Is Germany ready to accept refugees? The consequence of such a military intervention. And I don't think it is. If you look at the current asylum policy in Germany, it's a catastrophe.
Although we should say Angela Merkel has said very recently that Germany will be prepared to take several thousand Syrian refugees.
Syrian, perhaps.
My name is Mekonomsk and I work with the Heinrich Böll Foundation. I think in a case of military intervention, there may be also some hesitant approach and also cautiousness. But I think in a general approach, Germany is more reluctant to take bold steps because it has implications. It has implications on the humanitarian basis, on the economic support and reconstruction and so on. So Germany is very often reluctant and less decisive to take actions.
But is that understandable? This is what I'd like to try and talk to you about. Do you think it's right that Germany is cautious, that Germany is worried it will make a mistake?
Political scientist from Venezuela. I think we are talking about Germany foreign policy, but there is another issue behind this. It's not only war, not only Syria. It's about oil. It's about Russia and the German-Russian relations. I think Germany is trying to keep that kind of relations in a very safe place and try to don't get involved in a conflict against not only Syria, but against Moscow.
Thank you very much indeed. I should add that one of you watching in Sri Lanka, Shirangia, says, and this is in direct agreement with what you were saying, sir, that it's much better for Germany to keep out of global affairs, concentrate on the Eurozone. He says that's where you operate best. Hi.
Hi, my name is Angela and I'm a founder of a tech startup, and actually I think that we have every single country has a responsibility, so we are a globalized world, and what we basically have to do is, at some point we said we are not going to go to war anymore, some years ago, and I think we should keep with that, but there are other ways you can go and get involved, for example, with education or bringing in healthcare.
So that's interesting. To you, Germany as a military country is over, not just now, but in the future too?
I wouldn't say it's not a yes and no. I think there is always a means to an end, and I think that there is just other options we could take.
I don't think it's an unqualified pacifist position for Germany. Germany has had good experience in multilateral organizations. That's how Germany got its sovereignty after the Second World War. If there was a clear United Nations mandate for peacekeeping operations, humanitarian operations, Germany, I think, would be willing to play on that team. But it wants to see that mandate.
Thank you very much indeed. So I wonder if I can get a microphone to the two gentlemen here. In fact, both stand up because we'll hear from you, because I think some of our viewers would just like to know, when do you think enough time will have passed for Germany to be able to play a normal role in foreign affairs? Have we reached that point already?
I don't even know what a normal role would be. And also have
Well, I suppose people look at what's happened in the last week. I listened to an hour-long special on the situation in Syria on BBC Radio a couple of nights ago, and Germany wasn't mentioned once. When you bear in mind your economic power, that is abnormal, isn't it?
Well, do we have to be proud to be mentioned in an international discussion, or do we have to be...
My point is that you're peripheral in the discussions around Syria.
I don't know the word peripheral.
It means you're on the sidelines, that you're not central to what's happening.
Why not? Okay. I think Germans are proud not to be proud. That's maybe one point, well, how you can qualify Germans. But I really have a question. How would it help to... how would military intervention help Syrians? I don't really get it. Is bombing going to remove Assad, or is it what is it maybe
But,
anybody here
but I think the
tell me,
point that's
because
coming in from our viewers is not so much a discussion about military intervention in Syria. That's a separate discussion. It's just surprise that Germany is so quiet on this issue when on other issues, economic issues, it has a very, very loud and a powerful voice.
Well, I think it's fine, and I think most people, except Marion, agree with me.
Okay.
Maybe the history of Germany is also a chance because of our history, about how horrible things were happening in Germany. Maybe Germany could have like a leading role in reflecting such things, and be more conscious about interventions and so on. And I think it's important to do those interventions always on democratic structures. It's not about like a world police like deciding something. I think we should do it on the international court, like people get involved with that.
So it's interesting you say your history is a chance. Ahmed Messam is watching us here on the BBC. He's just tweeted using the BBC Germany hashtag. He says, Germany tried war twice. It wasn't a good choice.
Why would our view of our role in the world always be informed by the fact that we were perpetrators? Why can't it also be informed by the fact that we were liberated by military power, that military power and democracy can go hand in hand, and we were the country that profited from this most? Why can't this inform our discussion for once?
Well, there's some people on the front row nodding to that point. Do you agree with it, sir?
I wanted to pick up actually on the legitimacy from the...
well, let's just stay with this because I'm fascinated by the idea that Germany benefited from a form of military intervention. Would you agree with that?
I would certainly agree with that. Democracy was installed here by the occupying powers in West Germany, at least after World War II. But I think we shouldn't forget that the Middle East is one of the most explosive areas on earth. And people have spoken about the great possibility of repercussions in the surrounding area. Germany can't be seen to be doing anything that would harm the existence of Israel.
But what about the point, and let's keep talking about this, that Germany's history doesn't mean it should never consider being a military power, taking military action?
I think when you look at, my name is Stephanie Lohaus, by the way, and I'm an editor for a German magazine, Missy magazine. And I think that how democracy was brought to Germany, it was a very, very specific historical situation with the Cold War, and it had been a democracy before, so it was not like a completely new thing to try out. And we cannot simply take this situation and try this in other countries and have the same result. So Germany being very cautious, I think, is because there's something called subconscious, collective subconscious, where things that happen in history really influence people even now. And I think it will take a long time till Germans will have a different opinion about military intervention in other countries.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Annetta.
Hi, Annetta.
Working for a foundation that is fighting neo-Nazis. So I think I agree very much with Mariam. I think that we should be seen as being liberated. This is certain true. But if Germany is coming to the point to not interfere militarily, why don't Germany take more refugees? So this is very, very ridiculous. It makes me feeling ashamed, because we took only 5,000 refugees from Syria, and Angela Merkel and the government is not able to do something about the racism in this country. So we cannot benefit only to say we don't want to be involved in wars because of our history. We could also say one of the lessons of our history is to really fight racism.
Well, it's interesting, the points that you're making and the point that you made, Ma'am, are being echoed by some of the messages coming in on the BBC Germany hashtag. Henry Amaze, I think in West Africa, has just tweeted saying, Germany is behaving like a coward. Had the world looked at the Nazis without responding, where would you be now, he asks. And so that's picking up on the point that you were making.
Exactly, and I wanted to add that if we were strictly pacifist, that will be a different issue, but we're not. We're the third largest exporter of weapons to Saudi Arabia. We're very cautious towards Russia and China when it comes to human rights. So we're not strictly pacifist, and I think that there's there's a huge amount of hypocrisy in that.
All of you, I know there are more hands going up. Just hold your thoughts, because we've got a lot of questions coming in from our viewers here on BBC World News. I want to make sure that we work through some of them. Thank you very much indeed to the gentleman who started our conversation off with a video from Beirut. Now, let's see this video that's come in from China.
Hi there, this is Xia Chen in Beijing. We know that in 2 weeks' time the Germans will elect a new government and China is keeping a close watch. Because China now is the third largest trading partner of Germany. And basically the bilateral relations are based on the trade-driven. My question is, apart from trade, what will the new government try to boost with China in the new term? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that question about the relationship between China and Germany. I read one analyst describing Germany as a merchant state led by business rather than values. I'm not saying that's true, but that is one view. Sir, you had your hand up a little bit earlier. Do you think that Germany needs to put an emphasis on things other than business when it deals with China?
Well, sort of returning to the Syria discussion almost, it does need to sort of emphasize the human rights aspect. I mean, with regards to sort of military intervention and whatnot, I think it's quite hypocritical of Germany to not want to take more action when it's Syria or China to promote human rights in these countries.
But you know, if Angela Merkel were to criticize the Chinese in a public way, that could dent your huge export market.
Well, again, it's a question of confidence. I mean, Germany should be very confident and very secure about its place in the world. As we mentioned, it's the third biggest exporter.
Well, that's an interesting point.
It shouldn't be afraid of China, and it shouldn't be afraid to spread its values because it has the economic power to back that up.
Well, let's talk about that. Do you feel confident that your leader, Angela Merkel, or whoever's your leader in a few weeks' time, can stand up and start being more critical of countries which you have crucial trading relationships with? Who could talk to me about that?
Yeah, I mean, talking about confidence in Germany, I think the whole issue here, my name is Katja, by the way, I'm a professor and business consultant. The whole issue here is that the people abroad perceive us as being much more confident than we do ourselves. So the whole issue here, you have such a dominant, you have such a strong position, at least in my corner of the world, we don't feel this. And as long as our politicians are not totally in favor or convinced of that strong position, then there is no confidence and no reason to invade or no perceived reason to invade and to transport something to other countries.
This is fascinating because I think a lot of people would assume that Germans feel very confident when they look at the health of your economy and the standard of living that people think you have.
No, we don't. I mean, even though we travel a lot, coming back home there seems to be scissors, mental scissors, and we're complaining all the time and thinking that everything's so bad and the train system doesn't work. It's great if you compare it to the rest of the world, but still.
Come in, sir.
My name is Dirk, I'm a journalist from Hamburg. I don't understand that position at all. It's the same in the European Union. The rest of the European Union perceives Germany as this invisible empire, saying European Union is in fact a German empire, and we act as if we are this small, powerless country. We are not. And coming just one second back to Syria, the German naval forces are already involved in the conflict. They picked up or intercepted, some of the communication of the Syrian army. So of course Germany is always there somewhere in the back door, but they're not talking about it. I'm sorry, because of opinions like the one of you. We like to feel small, but we are not anymore. We get over it. Americans would probably say.
I just say I do.
So if I could come in here, I think it's well and good to talk about, to question China's human rights record, and that should be done. I think that we also need to be focusing on problems that face Germany here at home, so to say. It is at least my temporary home. And we have issues such as racial profiling, which continue despite the fact that a court in Koblenz ruled against it. It continues to happen. Asylum seekers in an extremely difficult situation. There was a recent hunger strike in Munich. There's a camp in Berlin right here in Oranienplatz that is protesting, that is demanding rights to be acknowledged. So I think we need to focus on issues here in Germany.
Okay, so you're saying keep it in-house, worry about what's happening in Germany. A number of hands go up. Sir, if you want to stand up, and if you want to stand up. But first of all, we'll hear from the gentleman in the grey suit.
Yeah,
and I want to hear more about this confidence issue. I think our viewers will be sitting at home, wherever they are in the world, thinking, really? Germans aren't feeling confident at the moment?
Well, there are a lot of issues to be dealt on the issue of national identity because, Germany is still struggling with its own ethnic-based perspective on its own. That's the one thing. Anita told about the racism issue. The other thing is there are many perspectives on confidence or more how people look at Germany many people look, it is interest-driven policy rather than relationship-driven or value-driven. So, and it's more controversial. We can also argue a lot on values, but most of the perspective and perception of Germany is it's more interest-driven, and the approach is most of the time very arrogant. You know, like telling people how to do things better. So,
well, I'll tell you what, let's put this to our viewers, many of whom are tweeting as we're talking. The hashtag is BBC Germany. You can use this right now. We're live here, and I'm interested. What is your perception of Germany? Do you think it's arrogant in its behaviour abroad? I've just had a message from Abdi Ease, who's watching us in Somalia, who says you are a role model to us all. So that should give you a bit of a confidence boost.
Hello, my name is Sonja Eismann. I'm also an editor of Missy magazine here in Berlin. And I feel that Germany as a nation, I don't want to be confident because that has done enough damage in the history of Germany. So I don't think that should be a discussion at all. And I think that lots of people here in Germany aren't feeling confident. There's what he over there said, that the refugee politics are catastrophic. I think also Germany should take in more people from Syria.
But isn't there a difference between being confident and behaving as if you're superior? Those are two different things.
Yeah,
Don't you have lots of reasons to be confident?
I think lots of people do, and when I'm not talking from the point of view of the government, which I'm very critical of, but I think there's also lots of people, especially here in Berlin, in this part where I live, Neukölln, who can't be confident because they're really living on the fringe of society. There's lots of people coming in from Eastern European countries, also Sinti and Roma, and they're treated very badly. There's lots of racism. So I think Germany has really no reason to be arrogant or overly confident.
Okay, let's get a couple more responses here. First the gentleman and then the woman in the orange top.
Yeah, my name is Peter Matuszek of the Polling Institute Forza in Berlin. And I would like to bring in some of the views of the public opinion in Germany. And what we see is that people are quite aware of the economic power of Germany, and also most of them see Germany as a sort of model for Europe, but they're very reluctant. Germans are very reluctant to military action, as we have seen, and only in 2 cases, which was the intervention in Kosovo and in Afghanistan at the beginning, people were in favor of military action.
So that's interesting, because at the moment, Angela Merkel and her main rival, the leader of the SDP, both oppose military action. You think that is representative of what most Germans think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is an important point to have people's perceptions in mind once they take the decision of going to war or not.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Andrea, and I'm the Executive Director of Checkpoint Charlie Foundation Berlin. What I'm surprised about is that the international community always fails to see Germany as as someone who has just passed the teenage stage. We're just getting adolescent. And when I look at myself, native Berliner, born and raised here during the Cold War, I'm thinking next year we're celebrating 25 years of reunification. So if you look at a human being, that would be a teenager just, being grown up, moved out from the parents. This is pretty much where we are with our role in the world. I think we have done well, considering the new role we're supposed to be playing. And we just had this comment about the role model that Germany should be in the world. And
well, I wasn't saying you should be. There was a viewer in Somalia saying you are a role model.
I don't think we ever chickened out. I don't think we have been neutral in the Syria issue. We made clear that with a UN mandate, we're going to be in there for peacekeeping and humanitarian efforts. The first refugees from Syria landed in Hanover today. So there's all kinds of actions being taken. And I think we're just on the way of, assuming this new role. But Angela Merkel has been very cautious. Rightfully so, because this is 11 days before election, and no politician who's smart and sane is going to experiment around 11 days before that. So this is a smart thing to do, but it does not mean that we are not ready yet to take up a bigger job in this whole crisis.
I like the idea of Germany as an affluent teenager, but my mind's thinking, who are the parents? I'll let you think about that. I expect some of our viewers might have some views. By the way, if you're just switching on and you're thinking, what's World Have Your Say doing on at this time? It's a special edition of the programme because in a few days' time, Germans here and all over the country will be voting in their election. And Angela Merkel is a hot favourite to win a third term as Chancellor here. And all the voters here are answering the questions that you have about Germany. Many of you have been sending in videos. Let's have a look at the next one that's come in.
Hi, this is Dima Alam Faraj from Jordan. I do respect Angela Merkel as she's a model for me in her leading style, as she's a conservative leader and I'm a conservative person in my political views. I would like to ask the German people here, do they feel that Angela Merkel spared Germany from the economic downfall that many European countries went through? Do they think it's her leading abilities? And if she did make it this year, for how long would they like that she would lead their country? As a last comment I would like to share with them is that I really liked the necklace she was wearing in the debate last week, as this necklace really made a big, huge thing on social media and especially Twitter. It was the talk of the town at that time. Thank you so much.
The leadership debate on television maybe hasn't been the most gripping 90 minutes when the biggest talking point at the end of it is the necklace that Angela Merkel was wearing. But there is no doubt that this extraordinary woman has a hold on German voters that goes well beyond the policies that she stands for. And when we visited the offices of Missy magazine a couple of days ago, you were telling me, Steffi, that quite a few people will vote for Angela Merkel, even though they don't actually support her policies.
Yeah, well, the problem is that maybe it's a lack of options at the moment, and that people, when there's terms of crisis, and people, even though we're doing economically really well, feel the crisis around them, tend to vote conservative. As far as I know, many would vote differently if they had a different option. But she's a mother figure in a way, of course. Yeah, it's true.
Well, I'm Isabella Heuser. I'm the chair of psychiatry here at the Charité in Berlin. And I do admire Angela Merkel as a woman because she came so far as a woman and from the East. Then I really like her style. I like the no drama. Some political opponents think it's dull. I don't think that at all. I think it's measured. It's reliable. The only time where she actually surprised us was with shifting from nuclear energy to natural energy, which I think is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I like her style, and I also like that she really advances German interest, as she should as a chancellor, in the world, and that she brought us through the financial crisis pretty well.
I'm guessing you're going to be voting for her.
Tech advocate. I find that Chancellor Merkel's integrity and intelligence is widely admired, not just here in Germany, but worldwide. And I think if she does win the next election, she will be Europe's longest leading woman running state and government.
So she's undoubtedly a successful politician, but I wonder if she has changed the experience you have as a woman living in Germany.
Absolutely. She's a powerful role model, and I think for her to have such a long-standing role within a government, I mean, many would argue she's running Europe. I think many young girls and young ladies look up to her and say, I could build a career in a political life. I could succeed and really run a country. So I would be voting for her if I had those rights in Germany.
Okay. My name is Alexa DeVors, and I'm a public radio correspondent based here in Berlin. We've seen the campaign posters lately around town that show Angela Merkel with her sort of Mona Lisa smile that exudes this calm humility that I think many Germans can relate to, especially in terms of what we were discussing earlier. Confidence, but humility. But I would like to point out that many people in the opposition say that the government's family policies are 50 years out of date. Germany has one of the lowest birth rates in the European Union. It's far below the European average, and there's a demographic time bomb ticking because many people here say they can't afford to have children, they can't juggle children with their careers, and so this is very difficult this is where Germany's people in the opposition would say that Merkel's got to go.
All right, well, let's talk about this. Has she made it easier for women to have families and work?
My name is Sharon. I'm an author and an activist living here in Berlin, although I come from the United Kingdom. And I wanted to just answer that I wouldn't have voted for Angela Merkel in the past and wouldn't vote for her in the future. As a woman of colour living in Germany, I agree very much with what you've been saying. I haven't experienced this great liberation personally, and also as a woman of colour, I was very unhappy about her statements about multiculturalism being dead. And I hear a lot in this discussion going on that Germany is conceived of as a white country and kind of homogeneous.
But was she saying it was dead, that she didn't want it, or was she just saying it's dead, it just isn't working, we need to do this a different way?
Of responsibility in what she says. Whether she meant it one way or another is not so interesting to me. What arrived at me was, you do not belong. And okay, I'm British, maybe I don't, but my children are Afro-Germans and they definitely do. And we have somehow an understanding that Germany is somehow mono-ethnic, a white country, and therefore we can have discussions about whether we invade other countries or whether we intervene in other countries as if we have no, as if the walls are not permeable, where they are. People have links abroad, people have family ties abroad, people have political ties abroad.
I'm interested to ask our viewers about this and to know whether you do view, those of you watching, whether you view Germany as being a white country or do you view it as being a multi-ethnic country? What's your perception of it? I'm particularly interested if you've never been here, but you've just viewed it from afar. Do let us know. BBC Germany is the hashtag. You can also get us at facebook.com/World Have Your Say. Akil in Australia is watching us. He's definitely keen. He says, I adore Germany and I adore Angela Merkel. Thank you very much for that, Akil. And James in New York says, conservative, practical, unwavering, and an enormous amount of intelligence with common sense. She's another Iron Lady and the world could use a dozen more. Steffi, would you recommend her to other people?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Sharon, actually. And I would like to add to that the government has not done anything for women, especially for young women. They even launched the so-called Betreuungsgeld, which is totally counterproductive because it pays mothers to not put their children into childcare. So I think that's, in the whole world, very unique and very stupid.
Yes, hello, my name is Hugh Brunson. I'm a candidate for the oppositional Alternative for Germany. I'm a bit amazed about the picture that's been portrayed of Angela Merkel. I see her as a completely different woman. She muffled the entire political discussion on really, really important issues. I would like to talk about the euro. I would like to talk about the financial crisis this country is in. Don't forget
we are going to talk about the euro, but we are at the moment talking about whether she's changed the experience for German women, whether she has shown German men and women that there are other possibilities for women that perhaps some men didn't want to consider.
Well, I can't argue about German women. I can't debate that. I can see that.
Why not? You must be related to some. I'm sure you know some as well.
That's a very fair point. I don't see her as a great liberator. I mean, if you look at the number of female leading economic figures working on boards and compare them to other countries, to Norway or to other states. No, she has done very, very little to liberate the women in here.
Well, the woman standing next to you just stood up. We'll hear from you in just a moment. First of all, let's go across here on this subject.
I very much agree with the gentleman over there. My name is Daniela, and I think that as a person, I can very much respect what Angela Merkel has done so far, but talking in a political way, I can't see her as a role model because I think she's playing a very, very dangerous game with just not having any values at all. She's just dropping everything which she had as any value, and I think that's something that can be very, very explosive, and that's actually I'm afraid of.
Hi, my name is Saskia Ibram. I'm a student and journalist, and for me, she's not really a role model, although I have to acknowledge that as a chancellor, as the first female chancellor in Germany, she couldn't really afford to care about women's issue in the first place because she wouldn't get so much power if she cared about like soft issues for most Germans. Well, it is the case, but I really criticize her for now being in power, now being in charge, why she's not doing more for women, and that's why I don't see her as a role model.
Do you think she might do it in her third term when she knows
I don't see any signs
less
for
to
that.
lose? You don't see any signs?
No, I don't see anything.
Can I come back to the economic bit that was talked about in the video?
Please do.
I think what's happening right now is that the current government is taking a lot of credit for things it hasn't done. So other reforms that are supposed to have saved Germany from the financial crisis were taken during the reign of Schröder, so the chancellor before Merkel. A lot of the social sector, social security reforms were done back then. And I mean, you can agree that they did a lot of good, but then again, they came at a price. So today we have the problem of, there's little unemployment, but a lot of people are employed with bad wages and low social security. So all this kind of economic development came at a price.
Well, let's talk about that, because every time your unemployment figures come out here in Germany, people are writing to the BBC from all around the world going, can this be true? We're supposed to be in a global economic crisis, and Germany is bucking the trend. Your economy is performing incredibly. And one of the questions our viewers have asked the most is variations on, is it really as good as it seems? Let's look at this video that's come in from Kenya, and then we'll get us talking about that.
Hi, my name is Paula Ivanyuk, and I'm currently living in Brussels. Within the European Union, Germany holds a key role and is seen as a leader on many important issues. My question to you is this: how do you feel about Germany's role in the EU? Will Germany's leadership at EU level, or the actions Germany has taken in the past at EU level, affect who you will vote for on September 22nd? Thank you.
So that's clearly Paula rather than Evelyn, but nonetheless, a question is relevant to where we were in the conversation, which is how do you view how Germany behaves in the European Union, and how do you want your new government, whichever coalition it is, to behave? Are you comfortable with the role of power that you have at the moment? Let's get a comment just here.
Hi, yes. In early May, there was a discussion about the new European New Deal, which would be pushed by Germany and France, that would unlock 6 billion to put towards youth unemployment. The idea that Germany and France together could take in a lot of the youths who are struggling right now, educate them, as well as provide them with an apprenticeship. I really hope to see that become an actual thing, and hopefully in the new year we'll see more of Europe's successful countries participate as well.
Okay, let's get that same microphone you were speaking to along to the front row here, and oh, there we go, got a microphone. I saw you giving a number of expressions there, sir, while the lady behind you was talking. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I'm Alan. I'm a journalist here in Berlin, and I have to say that, the situation Germany's maneuvered itself into under Merkel in Europe is terrible. On the one hand, all over southern Europe, people hate us because we've imposed austerity, whereas within Germany, people think we're doing too much for the people in southern Europe. So what's happened is that due to the euro and due to Merkel's policies on the euro, we're tearing the European Union apart. That seems to me a really dangerous situation.
Are you tearing the European Union apart, or are you doing the only thing that could save it? Because if
the only thing that could save the European Union would be to abandon the euro. But if you keep hold on a single currency that forces 2/3 of the Eurozone to penury and keeps the other third in the position where sooner or later it's going to have to bail them out, then you're tearing the Eurozone apart and Europe with it.
Well, you are quite right, whether it's right or wrong, to say that strings were certainly attached. When you offered to help Greece, you said, OK, we're going to give you one bailout, we'll give you 2 bailouts, we might even give you another bailout in 2014, but only if you follow quite strict reforms of your economy and the way that the civil service works. Do you think those reforms were fair? Was it a reasonable exchange for Germany to demand this?
The discussion about the euro, there's one big problem. What really cost money in the past was the bank crisis and not the euro crisis. Germany actually makes money off the euro crisis because it literally gets the money for free, because it's the safe haven. And I think it's sort of driving away the discussion about where did all the money went to for the banks, and we sometimes we tend to discuss the wrong the wrong problems, I think.
Well, before we carry on, let's hear a message that's come in from Athens, because it ties right into the relationship between your country and this gentleman's.
Hello, I'm Matthias in Athens, and I'd like to send a message to German friends in regard to the German elections. I think that Angela Merkel has tried very hard to hide the truth from the German people, and that is that her government, along with the European officials, IMF officials, the Greek government, and others, they have imposed austerity programs on the peoples of the south with the only purpose to save banks, private banks that are already bankrupt. These loans, these austerity programs are political programs with the aim to replace the social welfare state, what we understand in Europe as the social welfare state, with precarity. I hope that you will condemn these policies with your vote. Thank you.
Matthias, thank you very much indeed. So the criticism is that the actions of Germany have not been for the benefit of Greece, they've been for the benefit of big corporations and the wealthier northern European countries.
I would agree with the Greek man and reject the opinion just said. we should not pay any more money into the euro bailout. And the austerity policy is wrong for all of us. It's only banks who take the profit. It's we who have to pay. And no matter what the politicians say, this is going to cost Germany 400 or 500 billion euros, which we don't want to pay. And the PIG nations, the people there, do not have any.
It's not as simple as that, though, is it? Because Germany has exported an awful lot of things to countries like Greece, and Greece and Greeks wouldn't have been able to buy those unless they were in the euro. So Germany has benefited.
We've exported things to them when we had the D-mark, and they were buying it as well. We should go out of the euro and have our own currency back.
I'm curious, just out of all of you here, who would like to leave the euro, if you could, today? Not very many.
My name is Erwin Collier. I'm a professor of economics at Free University. I think putting everything onto Angela Merkel is actually wrong in the following sense. There's a large consensus among the political parties about the proper goals in adjusting to the euro crisis, which literally involve adjustment by the periphery, known as austerity now, and very little in the form of expansionary policies at the core. One way to lower this adjustment cost that's being inflicted on the periphery is for Germany to step on the fiscal gas, literally with more tax cuts and more spending, for example, in infrastructure. There are such things, but Angela Merkel's party is not alone here. There are many Germans who believe in the doctrine of hard money, balanced budgets under all conditions, and sometimes conditions don't warrant those two goals.
And as a way of illustrating how well the German economy is performing at the moment, Germany doesn't have a budget deficit, it's got a surplus at the moment, and that is a collector's item among the biggest economies in the world. If you want to get more details of that, bbc.com/news is where you can find it. Hello, sir, we haven't heard from you before. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Michael from Open Europe Berlin. And by the way, we've just published a poll, an opinion poll on what Germans think about Angela Merkel's government's rescue operations. And it shows that people in Germany are very much in favor of what she does. So in a way, she, as a politician, she did what she should do. And but it also shows that the Germans are more Eurosceptic than the political parties, or at least most political parties, except for this one over there. And if it goes to the questions like Eurobonds or debt redemption fund, even banking union, Germans are really cautious, and they have a feeling, all right, there's a crisis, it is somewhere out there, and they're also nervous. Why don't we have a debate, a campaign debate on the euro, on the European Union?
Well, these are interesting points, and one of the, to be honest, there weren't that many highlights of the debate between Angela Merkel and her opposite number in the opposition. But one that was of interest was when he was criticising the bailouts that had been granted to Greece, and Angela Merkel turned to him and said, "You voted them all through." And that is true. The two biggest parties in Germany both supported the two bailouts that Greece has currently received. Whether it gets a third in 2014 will be decided by the new coalition government. Now, sir, I know you're standing up, both of you. I'll come to you in just a moment, but we're talking about the relationship between Germany and weaker economies. Here's another good example. This is a video from Cyprus.
Hi, my name's Electra from Cyprus. Geopolitically speaking, with the natural gas reserves that have been found off the coast of Cyprus, we're looking to become a major player in Europe and the Middle East. However, until we're better able to stabilize our economy, this poses a problem. So what role does Germany see Cyprus playing in achieving a working solution to the EU economic crisis? So far, we've been part of the problem. How does Germany plan to support us in becoming part of the solution?
So this is interesting, and it's been echoed by a number of other people. You offer the loans, the economic support, but do you need to offer more to countries like Cyprus and Greece?
My name is Jan Schäfer. I'm working with the German daily Bild-Zeitung, and this is exactly the question that is always asked from countries or people living in countries outside Germany. But the thing is that when you go back to the beginning of the century, we had very hard reforms in Germany too, and we didn't ask for money from other European countries. And this is, I think, something a lot of people think about. Why are we going to be asked all the time, how can Germany help us? But when we had this hard reforms, labor market, for example, or raising the rate of the age of retirement. No one actually helped Germany doing these reforms.
So you did it on your own. You're suggesting everyone else should?
A little bit. There's the saying, jeder ist seines Glückes eigener Schmied. Everyone is the architect of his own or her own future, fortune. So a little bit, it's a little bit like this.
Thank you very much indeed. So before I come to you, I just want to speak to our pollster who's here because he can help us. Is there an appetite among Germans? And I'll just get you to sit down so our viewers can see our other guests. Is there an appetite for further involvement in the reforms, in the institutions in countries like Greece and Cyprus? Or do Germans think, we're lending the money, that's enough?
No, indeed, there is if there is one issue where Germans, or a great majority of Germans, is in line with Angela Merkel, it is on the euro issue and her insistence of continuing the reforms in those countries. Majority is very pro-European, is pro-EU, is pro-euro nowadays. But what Germans want is that reforms go on and that Germany only gives money as long as we see any reforms going on there.
Thank you very much indeed. By the way, all of you tweeting in your responses to this special edition of World Have Your Say in Berlin. I'll get more of your comments on the air in a moment. I've also got a couple more video questions for all of our guests here at the German Historical Museum. So I'm going to come to you because I promised I would. First of all, a comment from Mariam.
Yes, I have to say, with all due respect, I totally disagree with my colleague from Die Bild-Zeitung saying that, oh, we should all focus on our own problems. Europe is not going to go forward this way, with thinking this way. I think what we need Germany to be is something like the United States, where after the Second World War, not in military terms, but in terms of Bretton Woods, in terms of thinking forward economically and thinking strategically for all of Europe. For example, why should we encourage solar panels in Germany where we could have them in Spain much cheaper and, invest in smart grid transferring energy to Germany?
Okay, you make a number of points. Let's give the gentleman a chance to respond.
Of course, I won't agree or don't disagree to you, but actually, if it comes to politics, if politics have to build markets and create companies, whatever, it's always a bad thing. It's the more or less free market who is the one who is better than if politics is going to create whatever companies or
sales.
And you
think that even
solar panels
though the free market played a role, you could argue in the crisis in the Eurozone?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it's the companies go where they make the most money or where they have the best workers, where they find the best workers. So if politics tries to go into there and drive it in a different way, it's always a problem, actually.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. A quick comment from you, sir.
Yes, just a quick comment to say many people just mix up Europe and the Eurozone, or the EU and the Eurozone. These are two different things. We're looking at people in Denmark, in Poland, in Sweden, in Great Britain, actually, who don't want to be in the Eurozone. Now, Angela Merkel has said famously, if the euro fails, Europe fails. Now, try to tell that those people, they are not failed Europeans. They just have a different view and they don't agree to the monetary policy that's been forced through by the European Central Bank and Mario Draghi.
Thank you very much for that point. Okay, lots of you have been uploading videos at worldhaveyoursay.com. Let's see the latest one. Here it is on the screens.
Hello everybody, this is Josie from Naples. I'm a student and actually I'm finishing my master's degree in international studies here in Italy. I think we should learn from the industrial model of Germany, first of all because it involves the collaboration of the workers with the government and also with the bank system. This is one of the main things Italy should remember.
And I have to say that that guest from Italy is not alone. There's a lot of people who want to learn from you, who think maybe Germans can teach us a thing or two. So what advice, what lessons can you offer? What do you think Germany is doing right in the way that it's structuring its economy and other countries could match? You could put up their hands and you're living in one of the most successful economies in the world and there's not anyone willing to tell me exactly why. Hi, nice to see you.
Yes, hi, I'm Nacha, from an editor with Ex-Berliner magazine here. I actually had a slightly different comment to make, and I was thinking of the irony of sitting here as a Berliner, I'm not a German, but as a Berliner, of having this discussion about the role model that Germany could be with those amazing unemployment rates and booming economy. And you live in Berlin, and Berlin is the capital of Germany, but Berlin is so atypical of Germany, with unemployment rates which are much closer to Polish ones or French ones or Italian ones, and like 4 times the one of Bavaria.
So, of course, you are going to get regional variations, and everyone watching this program around the world will have the same things in their country. But nonetheless, when you look at the unemployment rates in Germany, they are extraordinarily low.
Not here.
But not in Berlin, is your point. There's a gentleman there. Let's get a microphone round there. And Felix on the front row, what's your view on this? What can you teach the rest of the world?
I have no clue. But
it seems to me that Germans you're not really taking to this idea of being role models. You don't seem very enthusiastic about it.
We can make some observations, and I observed, for example, that we built streets, and it was not the private sector that built the streets, like the Bildzeitung wants everything privately, and they are very successful, and they build a pretty strong economy, automobile industry. And so I think infrastructure is one thing that you have to rely on the government that they do it, and that's actually...
So the state plays a crucial role. You're gently shaking your head. I'll get a microphone to you in a moment. Steffi, what about you?
Well, when it comes to the unemployment rate, I think what other countries can learn from Germany is how to fake statistics. Because, I mean, the thing why the rates are so low is because and we don't have like a minimum wage, for example, and many of the jobs are very precarious. There's a lot of stuff going on with like leisure, yes, no, not service industry, Leiharbeit. Temporary work.
Temporary work.
Yeah. So that's the reason why the unemployment rates are so well.
And there's a little bit of context that we should add here before we do hear from Evelyn in Nairobi, and it's that Germany has a higher percentage of low-wage workers, and by that I mean people earning less than 60% of the average wage. It has a higher percentage of low-wage workers than any European country apart from Lithuania. Millions of Germans are on what's classified as a low wage, and one of the big election issues here is whether there should be a minimum wage. Steffi talking about that. Angela Merkel favours having minimum wages for particular industries. The opposition favours a blanket minimum wage. Now, I was promising you a question from Evelyn in Kenya a few minutes ago. We've got that lined up. Let's have a look.
Hi, this is Evelyn from Nairobi. German industries have been seen to have a great reputation all over the world, and I bet that it's doing very well economically. So I was wondering how good is it to work in Germany?
So she wants to say, how good is it to work in Germany? I should add, before I get you to answer, Sam's watching us in Trinidad, and he goes, this German model could wear some of us out in minutes. So clearly some people are looking at how hard you're all working and thinking, this looks tough, but is this as good as it looks? Tell our viewers.
I think it is pretty good. I mean, this kind of job miracle is not just based on very cheap labor. And I also wanted to reply to the Italian lady who said the German model is something like the economy, government, banks and unions working together. This is not true. This might be Japanese kairetsu. What the German model could be, or one German word, not leitmotiv or Angst or Blitzkrieg, others might want to take on, is Ordnungspolitik. It's a very tricky concept, and you can't translate it into any different language. It's something like the rule of law, the state taking care of the general order, the general rules of just behavior, but not intervening into the economy in order to create specific results for specific interest groups.
So this is interesting. It sounds like you feel confident, and Felix feels confident, that the balance between state and free enterprise is actually pretty good here in Germany. Yeah.
I believe that Germany has to do better in terms of integrating people into their market. Because, for example, if I look at migrants, it's really a problem for them to get into better positions. So Germany is in a good position, but not everybody in Germany is in a good position. So we shouldn't forget that.
Yeah, what you just said, it's not coming back to the question, it's not that it's great for everyone to work in Germany. coming back to the Berlin thing, there are very precarious working positions in Berlin. That's one thing. And secondly, on a little bit more anecdotal level, I used to work in a strategy consulting firm, and no one wanted to work in the German system because they all said, your hours are so crazy. So,
okay, let's bring Hakan in.
Hakan, I'm a researcher here at the university. One important aspect which was mentioned was racism, discrimination in Germany, and also combine it with the field of employment. Just to mention, I mean, how nice it is to work in Germany. I mean, first of all, to get a job with a person with a immigrant background is difficult. And the important thing is to mention that the highest, biggest minorities from Turkey, and many academics are leaving Germany.
But let's be clear, with the mini jobs that were brought in 10 years ago, it's easier for businesses to offer jobs, and that gets people working in a way that wasn't possible before.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems to be a short-term solution. I think in longer terms, it will raise social tension, and I think it will be more harmful than beneficial for the society at large.
And the final point goes to a lady just here on the front row. Hi.
Well, the final point, what a pressure. Hello, my name is Ruth. I'm a student, so I don't know much about working in Germany, actually. But I think it has been said before that we are in a very fortunate position, economically speaking, and I think we should use that position to kind of maneuver us out of this position that Angela Merkel has brought us into, which is that we're seen as a very strict economic power, and we should show more solidarity.
Is where we're going to have to leave it. If you wanted a bit of evidence that time has changed some things, when Kosa in England says every Briton sees Germany as the perfect role model. Thank you very much indeed for coming to see us. We'll carry on our coverage on the BBC of the German elections. See you very soon. Goodbye.